12-year-old Mark Stebbins walked out of his home in Ferndale on a Tuesday afternoon in February 1976. He carried library books and expected to be back for dinner. He never made it home. For days later, his body was found in a snowbank. He was clean, his clothes were pressed, and he was posed with a level of precision that signaled a total absence of panic in the perpetrator. This wasn't a crime of impulsive violence, it was a crime of absolute control. The suburbs of Detroit in 1976 operated on a specific social contract. Children walked to school, played in public parks, and returned home when the streetlights turned on. When Mark vanished, that contract was voided. Within a year, 3 more children, Jill Robinson, Kristine Mihelich, and Timothy King, were abducted. The pattern was identical. The victims were held for several days, kept in private spaces, and then left in public view, staged like dolls. Medical examiners noted that the victims had been fed. There was no evidence of a struggle, no defensive wounds, and no sign of the frantic, messy circumstances that usually define child abduction. The killer was not just eliminating a threat, he was maintaining a domestic routine. He was playing a role, creating a temporary, perverse household for children who were being kept for a specific, calculated duration before being discarded. Police task forces swarmed the Oakland County suburbs. They collected thousands of statements, but the killer left no prints, no fibers, and no direct forensic bridge to a suspect. The investigation focused on Christopher Bush, a man with a documented history of sexual offenses and deep, unsettling ties to the community. To the detectives, Bush was the architect of this nightmare. He lived in the open, maintained a job, and successfully projected the image of a functional, ordinary citizen. The legal threshold for arrest, however, remained a massive obstacle. Prosecutors needed more than behavioral profiles or the testimony of witnesses who saw a man in a car. They needed hard evidence that could withstand the scrutiny of a courtroom. That evidence simply did not materialize. As the task force hit dead ends, the gap between what the investigators knew and what the law could prove began to widen into a chasm. By the time Bush died in 1978, the primary path to a conviction had collapsed. For decades, the case was categorized as an unresolvable ghost story. The 2009 discovery of a sketch, a composite image found among Bush's personal belongings that aligned with witness accounts, offered a grim confirmation of his involvement, but it came too late for a trial. The narrative around this case has shifted in recent years. Modern forensic technology and new investigative leads, including the scrutiny of other potential figures like James Vincent Gunnels, have pushed the boundaries of what we understand about these abductions. It is no longer just a cold case defined by the limitations of the 70s. It is a complex, active puzzle involving multiple layers of evidence. We now understand that the killer didn't just operate in the shadows. He operated within the same institutions and public spaces as everyone else, using the normalcy of the suburbs as his primary cover. The case remains a study in how a predator can exist in plain sight, not by hiding, but by mimicking the very routines of the community he is systematically destroying. The investigation is far from settled, and for the families, the search for a definitive answer continues to be a pursuit of a truth that the original, flawed proceedings could never fully deliver.